So after seeing some of these other students in action with this week's episode of My Hero Academia, some of these students are insanely scary, kind of similar to Todoroki or Bakugo in terms of their just overall power level. Just seeing a character stand on the rooftops, control the air, and then take out like 130 students with one move. Holy hell, like that's pretty impressive. Like that's even more impressive than some of the things that we've seen characters like Todoroki do. Like this entire test, like we're seeing some of the wackiest and some of the strongest abilities we've seen from the students in My Hero Academia, and that's pretty awesome. I just like how this episode, you know, with last week's episode, it was really focusing on UA and how they were kind of like, they weren't falling for the tricks, they weren't falling for these traps, but this episode, hide and seek kind of started to happen in this episode. You're seeing the students get separated and seeing some really incredible quirks, like having Deku not be able to look at this one girl as she pretty much creeps up behind him, gets one of the targets lit up. Some of these people are pretty insane, like even having some of them take hold and turn into Deku's friends, like, and they know that, well, I mean, clearly if they work together at the sports festival, we should clearly imitate her because he's good friends. Like, the way some of these characters are getting into the heads of our main cast is actually kind of scary but impressive all at the same time, because it shows you, like, these aren't some pushovers. Like, these other schools, they can raise heroes just as well as UA in certain ways. So I really like just seeing some of these abilities. Like some are more like impact worthy in terms of their power, like sucking up all of the tennis balls and then throwing them all down at everyone on the floor. Like that's pretty insane. But then you have abilities where you can't look at a person or they're copying their image. Like it's kind of powerful and intimidating all in its own way, while you're watching our characters kind of get pushed to the edge. Are they going to fall off, or are they going to find even footing and be able to push right back? And I like seeing the characters do this. I like seeing some of the reactions, like, holy hell, like, did that kid really just do that? It's pretty awesome to see. And like, one of the strengths of My Hero Academia is its overall use of powers, because a lot of times when you have a superhero series, it can feel very basic, or it can feel just the same as something we've seen in a Marvel or a DC or somewhere else in an independent comic. But with My Hero Academia, we have some of the silliest quirks that you can think of, almost feeling like it was kind of made by a 4-year-old. But that's a good thing, because in the world of My Hero Academia, people are just born with quirks more often than not. So some people would have really kind of interesting quirks, powerful quirks, quirks that people would look at as being cool, and then other people are going to have things that are just like, did you just attach a household object to your body? Like, what's going on? But that's what would naturally happen if our DNA just built in powers to us. So I think that's really interesting how even outside of UA, you're seeing these characters with like really impressive quirks, and then other characters you're like, is that really the best quirk that they have? But then you see it in action, you're like, okay, even if it may not be the most impressive thing at first glance, the way they're implementing it into a battle is actually pretty impressive. Like, that's something I really like about My Hero Academia. This episode, I'm glad it did push our characters to the edge a bit, separating them, having Deku kind of have to go on the defensive instead of the offensive, and I thought it was really interesting, and I like seeing Deku fully realize that, you know what, I can't use 100% one for all until I fully let my body catch up. I can't destroy it anymore. I'm going to continue to use my legs. I'm going to train my legs for the time being. All the enhancements made to my suit, it turns it into an effective weapon, and I'm really happy that Deku finally is learning. He's no longer going to punch first, think later. Oh, sorry, recovery girl, I just kind of shattered my bones again, and oh wait, you can't heal me anymore? Alright, series over. I'm glad he's starting to see that. I'm glad that the suits have been implemented, kind of upgrades to kind of balance out some of the downfalls that the students' quirks have. It allows for them to actually feel like they're learning, feeling like they're growing, because obviously if Deku could use 100% one for all with no penalties right now, that would be a very boring series for the remainder of My Hero Academia. He shouldn't be able to use that until much later into the series. I'm just glad he's able to find these ways to overcome the obstacles that he's facing with his current quirk that he inherited from Almay. It becomes actually really engaging. I'm glad the characters are learning. I'm glad there are characters other than the main characters who have impressive quirks and are able to push them to the edge. I'm incredibly excited for next week's episode. Todoroki is one of my all-time favorite My Hero Academia characters, so I can't wait to see how he's going to get out of that predicament. Overall, this was a fun episode. I'm really liking how we're not rushing through things. We're getting some time to see all the characters do their thing in this test, and I'm very curious how many UA students will get out of this license. Like, are we going to see all the UA students who came in get a license, or is it only going to be a select handful, the Bakugos, the Todorokis? I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with this, but let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite new quirk that you saw? Just let me know whatever you're feeling down in that comment section below, and before you leave, be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.